also coming off a really rough night with a lot of things happened to him, and he's been out of the ring for a year. Devin's a brilliant talent, and he's going to be. I worry more for Ryan over Devin going into the fight. I was worried more for Devin, but even though Devin didn't look sensational, he'll get momentum now off the win, and I think he'll be better next time. Ryan's in a bit of a mess, really. He's got to come back, get a win. Maybe, I mean, he should be beat. I think he should be beating Rowley, in my opinion, and I expected him to do so. You know.
What's the logical next step for Giron in this?
So, we are talking. We're in negotiations for Giron to fight Teofimo, and it's a hell of a fight. And Giron, you know, you heard His Excellency. He said it there. You know, and this is just the last 48 hours. So Giron's been chilling out. You know, there is a date in August that we could be looking at in Saudi Arabia, but we weren't really expecting to fight in August, if I'm honest. You know, we was expecting to fight in September, October. We have a mandatory challenger in Shakram Girsov, who stepped aside for the Stanionis fight, but I believe there's a conversation to be had there. And I've got a call with Giron and Everett and the team and Bozy in about an hour to see if that's something we want to do. I will say there is still the conversation about 47-54. You know, it is inevitable, the move, but I feel like the Teofimo fight is a great fight, and I think that's a great option for him. So,
I didn't see that fight.
Listen, I honestly think that he's just too big and too good. Like, I rate Teofimo, but you know, when we did the weigh-in here, Teofimo stood on the scales. About 6 hours, 8 hours into hydrating, he was about 146 pounds. Barboza was about 157. Right? I don't think he's a big 140, Tia. Wait till you see Boots on the night in there, hydrated, fit, healthy, and he's a hell of a fighter. Listen, it's a great fight for boxing, but I don't see anybody beating Boots Ennis 147, 154, 160 right now.
Eddie, what's your prediction for Sheeraz versus Berlanga?
It's a great fight, you know, and I'm Team Sheeraz now because, you know, Edgar's had a lot to say.
Yeah.
And,
British solidarity.
A lot of it is, it's not like we get on all right, but like, you know, I think that I really like Hamza Sheeraz. I think it's a brilliant fight. I think that Edgar will get a lot of confidence from Canelo. What Hamza said about the Canelo fight, Berlanga done great in the Canelo fight, but I don't think he really pushed himself in the fight as much as he could have done and probably might do now with that confidence. He hits very hard, but Hamza's been really starved at 160. You see the size of him, he's huge. I think it's a fantastic matchup. I think Hamza needs to be very careful in the first 5 or 6 rounds of that fight.
Do you feel like maybe it should have been another fight before Berlanga?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. But, you know, yeah, maybe. But, you know, also, isn't it great? Like, we're like boxing fans, and I'm one of them, by the way, and so are you.
Which one?
We're mad, really, aren't we? We're like, oh, what's he doing? He's stupid. He should have a warm-up fight. And then we make a warm-up fight, and everyone goes, who's he fighting? That's shit. Do you know what I mean? So I think I admire it. I mean, look, if he goes and beats Berlanga, he probably will get the Canelo fight, Hamza Sheeraz. So he's rolling the dice. Good luck to him.
Eddie, Kevin Garcia with Fight Hype. I wanted to ask you about that. What you just mentioned, you know, Edgar having a lot to say. He was shooting the gun at you, you know, from the side of the stage there. I walked over and I asked him about that. It was F. Eddie, where do you think this comes from? You guys seem to be on good terms.
I think we're pretty much on good terms. I mean, I think he's a little bit rude sometimes. I think he should have a picture of me in his lounge. And every time he walks past his lounge in his new house with all his ice, you know, everywhere, he should pick up, you know, the chains that he wears. That's probably, I don't know, what, 50 grand, 100 grand, 100. Every time he picks it up, he should go, thank you, Eddie, and put it around him. You know what I mean? Because let's be honest, I gave him Jason Quigley, then I gave him Poddy McCrory, right? I paid him unbelievable money for both, and then we got him an absolute fortune to fight Canelo Alvarez. With Keith Connolly, everyone done a great job, right? We did a remarkable job for him. But, like all things, sometimes a fighter has an opinion of what they're worth, and obviously we have the receipts of the numbers, and it was just a little bit disjointed, you know. But I like Edgar. I think he's a really exciting fighter. I don't have any beef with him, and I wish him the best. But he should have the respect to say, "Fuck me, Eddie Hearn really done a great job for me."
You compared Shakur to Floyd earlier. Can
Yeah.
you kind of expound on those thoughts and similarities?
Ring IQ, movement, controlling the fight with the lead hand, footwork, defense, calmness, everything. Like, and by the way, Crawford's the same kind of mold. And you know what it is, yeah? It's the self-belief. Like Crawford, I can't tell you how much belief Crawford has. I spent the weekend with him out there. You know, we was on the plane together. He has no doubt in his mind that he beats Canelo, and he does it easy, right? And Shakur has so much self-belief, zero doubt, and it's not like a complacency either. It's just like I know exactly what they're going to do, and I know exactly what I'm going to do, and they can't beat me. And I think, but you know, Shakur, people talk about Shakur's negative, it's not really. You wait till you see him in a fight like this. Because you can't box just off the back foot against Vader. You just let him walk you down. But like, and you know, look at Boots as well, same age.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sometimes Shakur's got a little bit of a baby face, and he looks younger than these guys. But let's just also acknowledge, Giron Ennis is the same age. Like Crawford's what, 36, 35, 30, 37,
turning 38.
You know? Like, and by the way, he's an outstanding fighter, but the problem is with Bud, and I said this to him on the flight, I said, you never got the chance to build an amazing resume because there was no one for you to fight. Like, and I was like winding him up. I said, tell me your best win. And he's like, Ricky Burns. That's what he said. Ricky Burns is my fighter, 3-division world champion. But I said, he was a great fighter, but he's not going to go down in history, Ricky Burns, as like an all-time great. You're telling me that was your best win? Well, Errol Spence, but even he acknowledges that Errol Spence, you know, was probably a little bit. And Bud could beat all the greats, but he never really got the chance, and that's why this fight's really important for him and to him. And after watching Canelo against Skull, and I know it was Skull, and I think he's the fresher guy in there, and I very rarely back against Canelo Alvarez, but it would not surprise me at all if Crawford won that fight.
Eddie, what are your thoughts on the change in dates and venues with the Canelo Crawford situation?
I think there's a lot, you know, you can always read into the reports from His Excellency. Sometimes there's reasons why he's done stuff. I actually haven't caught up with him since he announced that. I think originally they were going to go on a Friday because Saturday is there a big UFC event? Or I don't know.
They got a UFC event.
In Vegas, yeah.
College
And then
football.
football.
College
Sunday.
football, yeah. So, but for me, I think championship boxing should be on a Saturday night. Always.
Eddie, June 14th, you back at the Garden,
Yes.
Hitchens, Cambosis.
Great
What can we
fight.
expect on that card? What you lining up for?
So we're going to announce the card this week. There's a huge fight for Andy Cruz on the card, and he's going to be a big statement to put him into a position to fight for the world title. Tito Mercado on the card there as well, unbeaten 140 pounder. One of our big heavyweights as well, Alexis Barrier from Canada, Zaquin Moses, Nishant, loads and loads to Pablo as well, King of New York.
Okay.
Tickets are going really well. It's a great fight. By the way, Hitchens is another guy. You know, I know he doesn't have the same profile as Boots and Shakur yet, but he's another brilliant, young, undefeated American fighter. And Cambosis is bringing a lot of energy to that fight, so June 14th will be a big night.
If Hitchens is victorious, that Teofimo unification still in the
I
air?
think so, yeah. I mean, obviously we have to see if Boots fights Teofimo.
Okay.
But, you know, I think he's in a great position.
Is that really getting into some serious?
Yeah.
Boots and Teofimo, is that
Yeah.
really seriously in talks?
Yeah. I think if Boots stays at 147, I think he'll fight Teofimo next, but we'll have to see.
Eddie, Johnny Boy Boxing fight. Talking about Tio, him using the N-word, what are your thoughts? Does he deserve to get a fight with Boots or Hitchens? What do you think?
I don't know about deserving, but I think if you bring the game into disrepute it needs to be dealt with. One of the problems you have in America is you have no national governing body. You're state governed, right? So in England, we have the British Boxing Board of Control. They control the whole sport in the UK. So you see Eubank slaps Conor Benn with an egg, £100,000 fine, right? If Teofimo would have said what he said in England, the British Boxing Board of Control would have called him within 7 days to a hearing, and he would have got fined a huge amount of money.
Do we need that in America?
Well, yeah, but you've got the ABC, but it's not really tight enough with the states. So it's just a different kind of, But I believe the WBO have called him in or something. Look, we have to make sure people understand, one, racism is unacceptable, especially unacceptable in boxing. But it's a bit like, on the Eubank stuff, we're trying to bring kids into the sport and show them that discipline, respect, manners, all this stuff. You look at Cops for Kids, Cops and Kids, right, down in Brooklyn. I'm going down there in a minute to see Richardson. That place is unbelievable what they do. These guys are role models for those kids. They can't behave in a way to make those kids think it's okay. Do you know what I mean?
Inside LLC. Speaking of Teofimo Lopez, your thoughts on his racist outbursts?
Yeah, we were just talking about it then. Yeah, I mean, like, unacceptable in all forms of life and walks of life. But I was just saying, in boxing, these guys are role models for people. So we've got to make an example. And I don't know what he keeps doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he did it once with Crawford, and it's like, I couldn't believe. And I'm like, whoa. Like, I don't represent him, but if I did, I would be saying to him, what the fuck are you doing? Stop. Like, listen, one, it's wrong. But two, you're talking about your brand, you're talking about your deals, your broadcasters. You can't, that's just.
Do you think he's crazy?
No. So I thought he was crazy. But I just think, I got to spend some time around him. I like Teofimo now. I never liked him. He blamed me for the Cambosa's defeat. He was like, "Oh, it's Eddie Hearn's fault." I'm like, "Fucking hell! I didn't even have either fighter. I just won the purse bid, right?" But when I spent a bit of time around him, actually, he plays up. And I think what he's trying to do is he's just trying to be controversial, but he's doing it in a terrible way. In a way that is unacceptable. I don't necessarily think he's racist. I don't necessarily think he means what he says. But there's, if you want to be a character,
He's just being a sausage.
yeah, a sausage, yeah, like. But it's just, yeah.
AJ Fury Wembley.
Look, Fury's just teasing us, isn't he? He's got the wraps on every day, 12 rounds, and he looks in shape. So look, fingers crossed, and it's the fight everyone wants to see.
Eddie, last question for you, really quick. We seen what you did for Shakur up there. You obviously spoke very highly and well of him. What do you think when a guy like Jake Paul, who was asked yesterday about Shakur, says Edgar Berlanga should be headlining this fight because he's the bigger star? What do you got to do to get Shakur to be the bigger star?
I mean, look, Edgar's been doing, Shakur's been doing gates 4 or 5 times Edgar Berlanga in Newark, right? And he's been rating on ESPN over 1 million consecutively on numerous occasions. So if you obviously Edgar has the benefit of the Canelo Alvarez fight, but they're both great fighters, both big stars. But for me, when you talk about quality between the two, Shakur's an all-time great. Edgar's very exciting, but he's never won a world championship. I mean, when you talk about this card, Sheeraz has never won a world championship. Berlanga's never won a world championship. Shakur's a 3-division world champion.
Who's the biggest star on the card?
Shakur Stevenson.
There you go.
Because people like to say he's not a star, but everybody talks about him, and everybody knows who he is.
Eddie,